In June 1995, Toyota introduced the seventh and final generation of one of Japan's most beloved automotive nameplates, the Corolla Levin and Sprinter Trueno. These names carried weight in Japanese car culture, particularly the Trueno designation, which translates from Spanish as thunder. The AE11 generation would be the last to wear these badges, and Toyota decided to go out with something special. The BZR variant, introduced in April 1997, packed a high-revving, naturally aspirated engine with individual throttle bodies, a 6-speed manual transmission, advanced suspension, and a limited slip differential. This was a proper driver's car, built for enthusiasts who valued naturally aspirated response over turbocharged power, and Americans never got the chance to buy one. Understanding the Levin and Trueno requires understanding Toyota's Japanese dealership system. The Corolla Levin and Sprinter Trueno were essentially identical vehicles sold through different dealership networks. The Levin, whose name derives from Middle English meaning lightning, was sold at Toyota Corolla store dealers. The Trueno went to Toyota Vista store dealers. The primary difference was front-end styling, with the Trueno traditionally featuring pop-up headlights, while the Levin used fixed units. By the AE11 generation, both had moved to fixed headlight designs, though subtle styling differences remained. The AE11 carried a heavy burden of expectation. Its predecessor, the AE86 generation, built from 1983 to 1987, had achieved legendary status. That car was rear-wheel drive with a 16-valve 4AGE engine, producing 120 to 130 horsepower. Lightweight construction and perfect balance made it a favorite among driving enthusiasts, and it would later be immortalized in the manga and anime, Initial D. When the AE92 generation switched to front-wheel drive in 1987, purists howled in protest. The AE11 continued with front-wheel drive, but Toyota compensated with technology that made the layout irrelevant. The heart of the BZR was its engine, the 4AGE 20-valve blacktop. This 1.6-liter inline four-cylinder represented the final evolution of Toyota's legendary 4AGE series, which had powered sporting Toyotas since 1983. The blacktop revision featured extensive internal updates, a switch from mass airflow sensing to manifold absolute pressure sensing, and a new valve cover finished in black paint, hence the nickname. The specifications tell only part of the story. Displacement was 1,587 cubic centimeters, with double overhead camshafts and 5 valves per cylinder, 3 intake valves and 2 exhaust valves, for 20 valves total. This 5-valve layout was exotic territory, shared with some Ferrari and Yamaha engines. The valve configuration optimized both intake flow and combustion chamber design. Each cylinder got its own individual throttle body, providing instant throttle response without the lag of a shared throttle body and intake manifold. Toyota's VVTi variable valve timing system operated on the intake cam, optimizing power delivery across the rev range. The engine produced 165 horsepower at 7,800 revolutions per minute and 119 pound-feet of torque at 5,600 revolutions per minute. That equals over 100 horsepower per liter from natural aspiration, making it one of the highest specific output naturally aspirated engines of its era. The red line sat at 8,000 revolutions per minute, and the engine was designed to rev freely to that limit, delivering progressively building power that rewarded drivers who kept it spinning. The BZR designation marked the top specification in the AE11 range. The 6-speed C160 manual transmission replaced the 5-speed used in lesser variants, providing closer ratios to keep the engine in its power band while offering a tall 6th gear for highway cruising. The superstrut front suspension represented advanced technology, providing superior geometry compared to standard McPherson struts. This improved handling precision and feel, accompanied by upgraded dampers and springs tuned for sporting driving. A viscous limited slip differential came standard on the BZR, improving traction and cornering ability despite the front-wheel drive layout. Larger brake rotors and calipers provided stopping power appropriate for the car's performance. Aerodynamic enhancements included a taller rear spoiler, side skirts, and front lip spoiler. Factory-optional Recaro SR3 bucket seats offered superior support, while reducing weight compared to standard seats. Four-wheel anti-lock brakes came standard, along with safety features advanced for the mid-90s. The BZR weighed just 1,080 kilograms, or approximately 2,381 pounds. With 165 horsepower and minimal weight, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour took approximately 7 seconds, which equals 0 to 62 miles per hour in the same time. The performance was brisk, but the real appeal was how it delivered. The naturally aspirated engine responded instantly to throttle inputs with no turbo lag. The individual throttle bodies meant every press of the accelerator was met with immediate reaction. The 6-speed transmission kept the engine in its sweet spot. The limited slip differential put power down effectively through corners. This was a car that rewarded skill and punished sloppiness, exactly what enthusiasts wanted. So why did Toyota keep this from American buyers? The Levin and Trueno were sold only in Japan, Europe, and Australia, explicitly excluding the United States from their distribution. Market positioning played a significant role. Toyota sold the Celica in North America, and the lower-end Celica ST filled the gap that a Levin would have occupied. For a brief period, Toyota also offered the Paseo, though that was based on the smaller Tercel platform. Adding another overlapping model to the United States lineup did not make business sense in Toyota's calculation. Federalizing the AE11 for American sale would have required extensive crash testing, emissions certification, and modifications to meet NHTSA and EPA standards. The high-revving nature of the 4AGE engine would have been particularly challenging for emissions compliance in an era of increasingly strict regulations. All Japanese market Levin and Trueno models were built in right-hand drive, requiring separate left-hand drive production tooling for export markets. The investment could not be justified for what Toyota perceived as a limited market. American buyers who wanted something similar could choose the Celica GTS with its 2.2-liter 5SFE engine, producing 135 horsepower. While more powerful at low RPM, it lacked the rev-happy character and specific output of the 4AGE. No United States Corolla received the 20-valve blacktop engine, the 6-speed manual transmission, the super strut suspension, or the limited slip differential. The closest equivalent simply did not exist in America. The 25-year import rule has changed the situation. Under United States law, a motor vehicle at least 25 years old can be lawfully imported without regard to whether it complies with all applicable federal motor vehicle safety standards. Models from 1995 to 1999 are currently eligible for legal importation, with the 2000 model year becoming eligible in 2025. This has opened the door for American enthusiasts to finally experience the Levin and Trueno BZR firsthand. Market values reflect growing appreciation for these final generation models. BZV models, a lower specification variant, sell for approximately $7,940 to $14,208. The general Corolla Levin range spans $9,369 to $31,338. BZR models command premium pricing due to their enhanced specifications. Import duties add approximately 2.5% for passenger vehicles. Well-maintained examples with verified BZR specification, not BZG or BZV models with BZR badges added, command strong prices. Authenticity verification is critical because some sellers put BZR stickers on lesser models. Genuine BZR specification can be verified by the 6-speed manual transmission, viscous limited slip differential, superstrut front suspension with larger brake rotors, optional Recaro SR3 interior, different tail light design, and specific chassis codes on build plates. Buyers must do homework before committing. The AE11 BZR represented the pinnacle of 90s Japanese hot hatch development. During this era, Japanese manufacturers pushed the boundaries of naturally aspirated engine technology, extracting remarkable specific output without forced induction. The BZR's 103 horsepower per liter from natural aspiration represented the cutting edge of this development. The decision to end Levin and Trueno production in August 2000 marked a turning point. Subsequent decades saw Toyota focus on different market segments, with truly engaging drivers' cars becoming rarer. The AE11 BZR stands as the ultimate expression of Toyota's commitment to building engaging drivers' cars during the 90s. While it never carried the banned label in the traditional sense, its absence from the United States market was nonetheless complete. American buyers were never offered this remarkable machine when new, missing out on one of the finest front-wheel drive sports coupes ever built. The combination of the high-revving blacktop engine, 6-speed manual, super strut suspension, and limited slip differential created a package that rewarded skilled driving in ways that modern turbocharged electronics-laden vehicles rarely match. Thanks to the 25-year import rule, American enthusiasts can now legally import these final Levin and Trueno models. As values appreciate and clean examples become harder to find, the AE11 BZR is finally receiving recognition as a significant chapter in Japanese automotive history, the ultimate evolution of a legendary nameplate and a fitting send-off for nearly 3 decades of Levin and Trueno heritage. The Nissan Silvia S14 was never supposed to be forbidden fruit for American enthusiasts. After all, Nissan sold its American twin, the 240SX, in dealerships from 1995 to 1998. Same body, same chassis, same sleek coupe styling. But beneath the skin, there was a difference that mattered more than anything else: the engine. While American buyers got the naturally aspirated KA24DE, Japanese drivers enjoyed something far more potent. The turbocharged SR20 DET under the hood of the Silvia Ks made all the difference, and for decades, that difference kept the real deal locked away from American roads. The story begins in late 1993, when Nissan unveiled the S14 generation in Japan. This was the 4th iteration of the Silvia nameplate, a car that had been capturing hearts since the 1970s. The S14 was wider, lower, and more aggressive than its predecessor, the beloved S13. Engineers at Nissan had widened the track and added 2 inches to the wheelbase, as if they were finally giving in to what drifters had wanted all along. The result was a platform that felt planted and stable, perfect for throwing sideways through corners. Under the hood of the K's variant sat a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine called the SR20 DET. This power plant featured double overhead camshafts and 4 valves per cylinder, technologies that were cutting edge for affordable sports cars in the early 90s. But what made the S14's version special was Nissan's variable cam timing system, called NVCT, which appeared on the intake cam. Combined with a larger T28 turbocharger, this engine produced 217 horsepower at 6,000 revolutions per minute and 203 pound-feet of torque at 4,800 revolutions per minute. Those numbers might not sound earth-shattering today, but in 1993, they made the Silvia Ks a genuinely quick car. Weight was kept reasonable at 1,220 kilograms, or about 2,690 pounds. This meant the car could reach 60 miles per hour from a standstill in around 7 seconds, with a top speed approaching 146 miles per hour, or 235 kilometers per hour. More importantly, the SR20 DET engine proved incredibly robust. Enthusiasts discovered they could reliably tune these engines to produce double or even triple the factory horsepower. This tunability would become legendary, cementing the SR20 DET's reputation as one of the greatest four-cylinder engines ever built. So why did Americans get stuck with the KA24DE instead? The answer lies in federal regulations, specifically the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act of 1988. This law was designed to protect domestic automakers and ensure every vehicle on American roads met federal safety and emissions standards. The catch was simple. If a car was not originally sold in America and did not meet NHTSA crash regulations or EPA emissions laws, it stayed out until it turned 25 years old. The Silvia S14 Ks fell into regulatory gray area. Nissan did sell the S14 chassis in America as the 240SX, but the differences between the Japanese turbo model and the American naturally aspirated version were significant enough that they did not count as the same car for regulatory purposes. The turbocharged SR20 DET had different emissions characteristics than the KA24DE. The right-hand drive configuration of Japanese models would require expensive conversion. Most critically, the relatively small number of potential buyers could not justify the massive cost of separate crash testing and EPA certification for the turbo model. American buyers who wanted the turbocharged experience had options, just not legal ones when the cars were new. Some enthusiasts bought domestic 240SX models and performed engine swaps, installing imported SR20 DET engines into the American chassis. This was legal because the chassis itself was federally approved. Others waited impatiently for the 25-year import rule to make genuine JDM Silvia models legal. That wait is now over. The S14 generation, which ran from 1993 to 1998, can now be legally imported to the United States. Early models from 1993 to 1996, called Zenki in Japanese enthusiast terminology, became eligible starting in 2018. Late models from 1996 to 1998, called Kuki, followed shortly after. This has opened the floodgates for a car that American enthusiasts have desired for nearly 3 decades. The Silvia's reputation was built as much on racetracks as on the street. By the late 80s, the Silvia had become the weapon of choice for drifters in Japan, both amateur and professional. Its front engine, rear-wheel drive layout combined with a 55 to 45 front-to-rear weight distribution made it naturally balanced. When Nissan widened and lowered the S14 for 1995, it became even better suited for sideways action. The car became a cornerstone of drift culture worldwide, featured in countless videos, video games, and motorsport events. Today, the market reflects the S14's legendary status. Average prices for 1993 to 1999 models hover around $20,000, with pristine examples reaching $49,000. Genuine JDM Silvia K's models with original turbocharged engines command premium pricing. According to Hagerty insurance data, 64% of S14 insurance quotes are flagged as modified vehicles, proof that enthusiasts still view these cars as blank canvases for performance upgrades. The aftermarket support remains robust, with companies offering everything from turbo upgrades to complete engine builds. The Nissan Silvia S14 Ks represents a specific moment in automotive history when Japanese manufacturers built relatively affordable, perfectly balanced sports cars for enthusiasts. The turbocharged SR20 DET engine, combined with rear-wheel drive and excellent handling dynamics, created something special. American buyers were denied this experience for 25 years, not because the car was specifically banned, but because regulatory differences and market calculations kept it locked away. Now that these cars are legal, They serve as tangible proof that sometimes the best versions really do stay in Japan. In December 1969, Nissan introduced a car that almost nobody outside Japan has ever seen in person. The Fairlady Z432 looked nearly identical to the Datsun 240Z that Americans could buy in showrooms, with the same elegant, long hood and fastback roofline that made the Z car an instant icon. But underneath that familiar body sat something extraordinary. The S20 engine from the legendary Hakosuka Skyline GTR. Only 420 examples were built, all for the Japanese domestic market, making the Z432 one of the rarest and most valuable Japanese sports cars in existence. The name Z432 is not just a model designation. It is a technical specification written in code. The 4 stands for 4 valves per cylinder, the 3 represents 3 carburetors, and the 2 indicates 2 camshafts. These numbers told Japanese enthusiasts everything they needed to know. This was a homologation special, a street-legal race car built to satisfy minimum production requirements for competition. The Z432 was never intended for export, never built in left-hand drive, and never designed for anyone except serious Japanese motorsport enthusiasts. The S20 engine that powered the Z432 was already legendary before it appeared in the Z car. This 2-liter inline 6-cylinder engine featured double overhead camshafts and 4 valves per cylinder. Advanced technology for 1969. 3 Mikuni 40. PHH-3 twin-choke side-draft carburetors fed the engine, while transistorized ignition provided reliable spark. The hemispherical combustion chambers and 24-valve cross-flow aluminum head were borrowed directly from racing technology. Every engine was hand-assembled, adding to the mystique. Output was rated at 160 horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute, with 130 pound-feet of torque at 5,600 revolutions per minute. The S20 was designed to rev, delivering power all the way to its 7,000 revolutions per minute redline in an era when most production engines wheezed out by 5,500 revolutions per minute. The engine weighed just 199 kilograms, or 439 pounds, remarkably light for a cast-iron block inline 6. This combination of high revving power and low weight made the Z432 a formidable performer. But Nissan was not content with just 420 street cars. Racing regulations for the Japan Automobile Federation's GT prototype class required homologation, and Nissan took this seriously. They built approximately 50 examples of the Z432R, with the R designation marking this as the ultimate homologation special. These cars featured weight-saving measures throughout: lighter front fenders, lighter doors, lighter hood. Every Z432R was painted orange with black aluminum wheels and wore a low-luster black hood to reduce glare. These modifications dropped curb weight to just 1,885 pounds, or approximately 855 kilograms, a reduction of 220 pounds compared to the standard Z432. The results on the racetrack proved this was not just a paper exercise. The Z432R won at the Race de Nippon in April 1970. 1 month later, it captured victory at the All-Japan Suzuka 1,000-kilometer race. These were not minor club races, but major national events, and the Z432R's dominance demonstrated that Nissan had built a genuine competition weapon. So why did Americans never get the chance to buy one? The simple answer is that they were never meant to. The Z432 was built exclusively for Japan, in extremely limited numbers. Every example was right-hand drive, configured for Japanese roads and Japanese regulations. The production run of 420 cars was calculated to satisfy racing homologation requirements, not to support international distribution. These were purpose-built machines for a specific market and a specific purpose. Americans did get the Datsun 240Z, which shared the same beautiful S30 chassis body. But the mechanicals told a different story. While the Z432 featured the exotic S20 with double overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and triple carburetors, the 240Z used the L24 engine. This was a more conventional 2.4-liter inline-six with a single overhead cam and 2 valves per cylinder. The 240Z's engine produced 151 horsepower, respectable, but not exotic. Twin carburetors replaced the Z432's trio of Mikunis. Most critically, the L24 was a torquier, more user-friendly engine designed for regular drivers, not a high-revving race-derived power plant that demanded to be kept on the boil. The price difference told the story clearly. In Japan, the Z432 cost roughly double what a standard Fairlady Z commanded. This positioned it as an exclusive, limited production model for serious enthusiasts with deep pockets and racing ambitions. Export was never part of the plan. Tens of thousands of 240Z models were built for North America, making it one of the most successful Japanese sports car exports of the 70s. The Z432, meanwhile, remained a jealously guarded domestic secret. Today, that exclusivity has translated into extraordinary collector value. In January 2020, a 1970 Nissan Fairlady Z432R sold at BH Japan's Tokyo Terada auction for 88,550,000 yen, which converted to approximately $805,700. This sale established the Z432R as one of the most expensive Japanese cars ever sold at auction, more than tripling the previous Fairlady record of $253,000 set at RM's 2015 Amelia Island sale. Even standard Z432 models, the non-R specification cars, now command 185,000 to 250,000 euros for clean examples. These cars are not simply appreciating in value. They are becoming nearly impossible to source in original condition. Finding a Z432 with its numbers matching S20 engine and factory-correct Mikuni carburetors is like finding automotive treasure. Many have been modified over the decades, crashed in racing, or simply lost to time. The survivors are treated like the precious artifacts they are.